Welcome to the deep dive. We sort of sift through information sources to pull out the really key stuff for you, get you those aha moments without you having to wade through everything.
Exactly. Efficient insight, that's the goal.
And this time, we've got a YouTube transcript you sent us from J. Forrest English. It's packed.
It really is. It covers quite a range, doesn't it? We're talking vocabulary building, more advanced language use, even things like negotiation skills.
Right, and expressing opinions, transition words, idioms, which are always tricky, and just, handling different communication situations.
So a pretty broad sweep based on this one source.
Yeah. So if you're looking to maybe speak a bit more fluently or feel more confident negotiating or just get a better handle on everyday English nuances, this should be really helpful.
We'll be digging into some core ideas about how language learning can shift, the little words that connect everything, and a whole bunch of those idioms.
Okay, let's dive in. The transcript starts with this idea of a paradigm shift. What's that about?
Right, the paradigm shift. It's presented in the context of digital technology and how it's changing fields like physics, math, computer science, even biology and economics. It's about a fundamental change in thinking.
So not just small change, but like a whole new way of looking at things.
Exactly. A real shift in the underlying assumptions or framework. The transcript uses digital tech in education as an example, moving away from old methods.
And that kind of shift, it could apply to language learning too, couldn't it? Moving beyond traditional textbook stuff.
Precisely. It prompts you, the listener, to think, are my learning methods still effective, or is there a more dynamic, maybe real-world approach I could take?
Okay, that makes sense. And speaking of approaches, the transcript jumps into some really useful vocabulary. First up is viable.
Yes, viable, V-I-A-B-L-E. It means something is capable of working successfully, it's practical or feasible.
Like a practical solution.
Exactly. The example given is solar power becoming a more viable or practically sustainable energy source, especially in sunny regions.
Got it. Practical, workable. Then benign, B-E-N-I-G-N. That G is silent.
Right. Benign. It means something doesn't have a significant harmful effect. It's gentle or harmless, basically.
So the example was about new construction maybe having a benign impact on wildlife.
That's the ideal, yeah. Development that causes minimal harm.
Okay. Next is conducive. C-O-N-D-U-C-I-V-E.
Conducive describes something that makes a certain situation or outcome likely to happen. It helps create the right conditions.
Like the example was a clutter-free space being conducive to concentration.
Exactly. A tidy desk helps you focus better. The environment is conducive to studying.
Makes sense. And incentive, I think we know this one.
Yeah, pretty common. An incentive is something that motivates or encourages you to do something. Often money, but not always.
Like government incentives for businesses using clean energy.
That's a classic example from economics or policy, yeah. Encouraging a desired action.
Then compile.
Compile. To produce something, like a report or a list, by gathering information together from various sources.
So like researchers compiling data for a study.
Perfect example. Pulling it all together.
And sometimes that compiled data might be contradictory.
Yes, contradictory, meaning the pieces of information conflict with each other. They don't agree.
Like a study showing both benefits and risks of something.
Right. Research isn't always straightforward. You can get contradictory results.
Okay. Then foster. F-O-S-T-E-R.
Foster means to encourage the development of something, usually something positive, like a skill or an attitude.
Like schools trying to foster creativity in students, nurturing it.
Exactly. Nurturing, promoting, encouraging development.
And what about retention?
Retention is the act of keeping something or someone. It's often used in business and education.
Employee retention, keeping staff from leaving.
Right. High turnover, where lots of people leave, is usually bad for retention. Companies want good employee retention.
Makes sense. Depict.
Depict. D-E-P-I-C-T. This means to represent something in, say, a painting, a drawing, or even writing, to show it visually or descriptively.
Like art depicting scenes of everyday life.
Exactly. Showing what something looks like or what happened.
Okay, now a useful phrase. Steer clear of.
Yeah, very useful.
Yeah.
Steer clear of means to actively avoid something or someone.
Like doctors advising patients to steer clear of processed foods.
Perfect. Deliberately avoiding it.
And solely, S-O-L-E-L-Y.
Solely just means only or exclusively, not involving anything else.
So clarifying that something isn't the only factor, like project success doesn't solely depend on funding.
Precisely. It helps to be specific about limitations or single causes.
Abundant.
Abundant means existing in large quantities. Plentiful.
Like a country with abundant natural resources, lots of oil or timber.
Yeah, having plenty of something.
Okay. Sustainability. We hear this a lot.
We do. Sustainability is the ability to maintain something at a certain level over time, especially relating to resource use and the environment.
Like using renewable resources for long-term environmental sustainability.
That's the core idea, yes.
Yeah.
Keeping things going without depleting them.
Got it. Assess.
To assess is to evaluate or judge the quality, value, or importance of something.
Like teachers assessing students' understanding.
Exactly. Or assessing the damage after a storm. Making a judgment.
And target as a verb.
As a verb, target means to direct an action or effort towards a specific goal or group.
Like an initiative targeting a reduction in emissions. Aiming for that.
Precisely. Aiming at a specific outcome.
Elicit. E-L-I-C-I-T.
Elicit means to draw out a response, information, or a reaction from someone.
Like survey questions designed to elicit honest opinions.
Yeah, you're trying to bring out that information or response.
Decipher.
Decipher. To succeed in understanding or interpreting something that's difficult or unclear.
Like scholars deciphering an ancient script, figuring out the meaning.
Exactly that. Unlocking the meaning.
What fluctuate?
Fluctuate means to rise and fall irregularly in number or amount. To vary.
Like the stock market. Prices fluctuate all the time.
Perfect example. Constant irregular change.
Outline. Like giving a summary.
Yes. To outline is to give a summary of the main facts or points of something.
Like a professor outlining the lecture topics at the start.
Exactly. A brief overview of the main points.
Promote. We use this a lot too.
We do. To promote means to support or actively encourage something. It can also mean advertising or raising someone to a higher rank, but here it's about encouragement.
Like campaigns promoting healthy lifestyle.
Right. Encouraging people to adopt certain behaviors.
Habitat.
Habitat, the natural home or environment of an animal, plant, or other organism.
Key term in ecology, right? Protecting forest habitats.
Absolutely. Essential for conservation.
And the last one in this vocabulary set, augment.
Augment. A-U-G-M-E-N-T. It means to make something greater by adding to it, to increase.
Like a government deciding to augment or increase public health services.
Exactly. Adding to something to make it larger or better.
Wow, that's a really solid list of vocabulary words. Very useful.
It is. And really understanding their nuances can significantly boost your comprehension and expression in English.
Okay, so the transcript then shifts gears a bit, right? It looks at describing a daily routine, but using more advanced language.
That's right. It uses Mark's morning as an example to show how you can elevate everyday descriptions.
Yeah, I noticed that. Instead of just Mark wakes up, it's the alarm rings at 6:30 a.m., signaling the beginning of Mark's day. Much more descriptive.
Exactly. It highlights a few things. Using more formal vocabulary like signaling instead of showing, using possessives like Mark's day for connection, and especially using present participles, those ing words.
Like signaling, ensuring, preparing.
Yes. They add detail and make the description flow. Think about with precision, he orchestrates the morning routine. Orchestrates is a much more sophisticated verb than just does or organizes.
It paints a picture of him being very careful and efficient, and the aroma of coffee fills the air that's much richer than the coffee smells good.
Right. It appeals to the senses. The whole point is showing the difference between basic descriptions and what's called C1 level language, a higher, more advanced proficiency.
And it also talks about transitions, like transitions into his managerial role, smoother than just saying, then he starts work.
Yes, and describing a busy day as filled with back-to-back Zoom meetings or dealing with intricate ideas instead of just difficult ideas.
I liked as the workday concludes instead of just ends. And that idiom races against the clock, very common.
Very common for being under time pressure. And using words like integral parts of their routine emphasizes importance more strongly than just saying important parts.
And even leisure time descriptions get an upgrade. Reunites in collective activities instead of just spends time together, or a stroll instead of a walk.
It sounds a bit more refined, doesn't it? The transcript also mentions using complex sentences combining dependent and independent clauses with words like as or while to connect ideas better. As the workday concludes, Mark races against the clock.
Yeah, that adds complexity. And the end-of-day language was quite poetic. As the clock inches towards bedtime, carves out a brief period, Savors the tranquility that descends. Using verbs like inches and descends is really
It
evocative.
is. It shows how word choice and sentence structure aren't just about being correct. They create tone and sophistication. And the idea is you can apply these techniques to your own descriptions.
Make your own routines sound a bit more impressive. Okay,
Yeah.
so from routines to negotiation. That's a big one.
A very practical skill. The transcript notes that in North America, you generally can't haggle in big brand stores, but there's often room for it with big ticket items like cars or houses, or with services from independent businesses.
That's a useful distinction. So how do you start? What phrases does it suggest?
It gives some good openers. Direct but polite things like, is there any room for negotiation?
Hmm.
Or is the price flexible? Maybe even how flexible?
Or asking about deals. Do you have any sales or promotions? Or are there any discounts available?
Exactly. Those are less direct, but still open the door. Or you can be very direct. What's the best price you can give me? Or what's your lowest price?
And it suggests giving a reason for wanting a discount to make it feel like a win-win.
Yeah, that can help. Or offering something in return. Like, if I buy two, can you give me 30% off? That's negotiating based on volume.
Or if I pay cash, can you give me 15% off? Offering a benefit to the seller.
Right. It also mentions leveraging things like online reviews. If I give you a great review on TripAdvisor, can I get this for $100? Or complimenting the item but stating your budget. This is beautiful, but it's a bit out of my budget. Would you accept $250?
Using would you accept sounds polite, like suggesting a possibility.
Exactly. Would you be willing to accept is another good construction. You can even offer non-monetary value like recommendations. Would you accept $300 if I recommend your store to others?
Okay, but what if the seller says no? What phrases might they use?
Good question. They might be direct. Our prices are non-negotiable. Or use idioms like, my hands are tied.
Meaning they can't change it.
Right. Or they might say there's no wiggle room, or claim it's already the lowest possible price. Sometimes they express regret, like, if I could, I would, but I can't go any lower.
So if you hear those, you need your own phrases to respond, right?
Yeah.
To stand your ground politely.
Exactly. You can acknowledge their position, but restate your limit. I understand, but that price isn't in my budget. Or signal you might walk away. In that case, I'll have to pass.
Or just state clearly, unfortunately, I can't move forward at the current price.
Right. You could also suggest future contact. Please let me know if the price changes. And always try to end politely, even without a deal. It's too bad we couldn't come to an agreement. Thanks for your time, though.
That's really practical stuff, gives you the actual words to use.
Mm.
Okay, next section. Expressing opinions. We all do it, but maybe not always effectively.
True. And the transcript offers a lot of alternatives to just saying, I think, all the time.
Yeah, for everyday chat, it listed things like, I'd say, if you ask me, I believe, it seems to me.
The way I see it, to me, and even more informal ones like, I reckon, which is maybe more British or Australian English, or that's my take on it. That's my 2 cents. Adds variety.
And for more formal situations, like work.
It suggests phrases like, from my perspective, in my opinion, it's my view that, or it appears to me that. They sound a bit more considered, more professional.
What about expressing certainty? When you're really sure.
Plenty of options there, too. I'm sure, I'm certain, I'm positive, or more emphatic ones. It's obvious that, it's indisputable that, it's undeniable, it's unquestionable, it's beyond a doubt.
Lots of ways to say, I'm really sure. Okay, and the opposite, expressing uncertainty or doubt.
Also important. Phrases like, it's possible that, it's probable, it's likely,
Oh.
or more tentative ones. I gather like you're piecing it together, I have a hunch, which means like an intuition.
And ways to hedge a bit, like correct me if I'm wrong, or if I'm not mistaken, to the best of my knowledge, acknowledging you might not be 100% right.
Exactly. And then there are diplomatic phrases for opinions that might be controversial or unwelcome.
Ah, like prefacing it with, to be honest, or in all honesty, or even, I'm sorry to say it, but,
Yes, those signal you're about to say something direct or potentially difficult. Also, phrases like, one could argue that, or my impression is that. Soften it slightly. And acknowledging the other view before disagreeing. I get what you're saying, but... Or, I understand your point, however.
That's a really useful toolkit for navigating opinions. Okay, moving on to transition words, the connectors.
Yes, the glue that holds ideas together. The transcript helpfully groups them by function.
Right, like cause and effect words.
Exactly. Words like consequently, hence, accordingly, thus, therefore, as a result, so, since, because, due to. They show a relationship between actions or ideas. Some are more formal, hence thus,
Yeah.
than others, so because.
And chronology, putting things in time order.
Right. First, second, third, next, then after, afterwards, subsequently, finally, lastly, last but not least. Essential for narratives or instructions.
Contrast words. For showing differences.
Like, however, although, though, but yet, on the other hand. Crucial for presenting opposing viewpoints.
And addition words for adding similar ideas.
Furthermore, moreover, additionally, in addition also, and. Used when you're building on a point.
What about generality words for things that are usually true?
Yeah, like in general, generally speaking, by and large, for the most part, usually, typically, mostly, more often than not. Good for making general statements.
Example words are easy. For example, for instance, as an example.
Yep, and emphasis words. In fact, as a matter of fact, indeed, used to stress a point.
And finally, conclusion words to signal the end.
Right. In conclusion, to conclude, to summarize, in sum, all things considered, finally, overall, ultimately, in the end, to wrap up, to sum up, all in all. So, lots of ways to signal you're finishing.
And the point is, using these consciously really improves clarity, right? Makes your speaking or writing much easier to follow.
Absolutely. They guide the listener or reader through your thoughts logically. Getting comfortable with these is a big step towards fluency.
Okay, now, the big one, idioms. The transcript has a huge list.
It really does. And idioms are so important for sounding natural in English. They're phrases where the meaning isn't obvious from the individual words.
Yeah, you just have to know them, like play it by ear.
Means to improvise, decide as you go.
Yeah.
Or be all ears.
Listening intently. And wake up on the wrong side of the bed.
Feeling grumpy. Wing something is similar to playing it by ear, doing it without preparation.
Make a mountain out of a molehill, exaggerating a small problem.
Exactly. Be at a crossroads means facing a major decision. Raining cats and dogs, very heavy rain.
On top of the world, feeling great. Give someone the cold shoulder, ignore them deliberately.
Sit on the fence, undecided. Hit the nail on the head, describe something perfectly.
As fit as a fiddle, very healthy. Get something out of your system, do something you've wanted to move on.
Speak of the devil when someone you were just talking about appears. Give someone the benefit of the doubt. Trust them, despite uncertainty.
No pain, no gain effort leads to reward. Hang in there, persevere.
A penny for your thoughts. Asking what someone is thinking. It's not rocket science. It's not difficult.
Let someone off the hook, not punish them. Make a long story short, summarize.
Easy does a slow down, be careful, go back to the drawing board, start over completely.
Once in a blue moon, very rarely, at the drop of a hat. Instantly.
Add insult to injury. Make a bad situation worse. Hit the sack. Go to bed.
The ball's in your court. It's your turn to act. Barking up the wrong tree. Pursuing the wrong course of action.
Get your ducks in a row. Get organized. Have the best of both worlds. Enjoy advantages from two different things.
The lions share the biggest portion. Be on the ball, alert and efficient.
Pull someone's leg. Tease or joke with them. Pull yourself together. Calm down.
So far, so good. Things are okay up to now. Be the last straw, the final tolerable thing.
Time flies when you're having fun. Self-explanatory. Be bent out of shape, annoyed or upset.
To make matters worse, adding to problems, don't judge a book by its cover, don't judge by appearances.
Wow, this list is really extensive. Should we keep going through them all? It's quite a lot.
It is huge, isn't it? Maybe we don't need to define every single one right now. The key point is that the source transcript provides this massive list as a resource.
Good point. Listeners can perhaps refer back to the source or look these up. The sheer number highlights how common idioms are. Just a few more examples, maybe.
Okay. Like cost an arm and a leg.
Very expensive. Or spill the beans.
Reveal a secret. Under the weather.
Feeling slightly ill. Beat around the bush.
Avoid the main point. Bite the bullet.
Face something difficult bravely. Break a leg.
Good luck, especially in performance. Call it a day.
Stop working. Cut corners. Do something poorly to save time money. Break the ice. Ease social tension. Get out of hand. Become uncontrollable. Cut to the chase. Get to the point. Go with the flow. Accept things easily. A silver lining. A positive aspect of a bad situation. Make ends meet. Have just enough money to live on. Ring a bell. Sound familiar. The tip of the iceberg. Small part of a bigger problem. A piece of cake. Very easy. Nip something in the bud. Stop something early. Out of the blue. Unexpectedly. Keep one's chin up. Stay cheerful. Stab someone in the back. Betray someone. Be in hot water. Be in trouble. Let the cat out of the bag. Reveal a secret. Again, be on the same page. Understand and agree. Fall through the cracks. Be overlooked. By the skin of one's teeth. Just barely manage something. Go the extra mile. Do more than expected. Play devil's advocate. Argue against something to stimulate debate. Face the music. Accept consequences. Read between the lines. Understand the hidden meaning. Through thick and thin. In good times and bad. From scratch. From the very beginning. Pick someone's brain. Ask for detailed information or advice. The devil's in the details. Small things can cause big problems. Bite off more than you can chew. Take on too much.
Okay, that's a lot of idioms. But it really drives home how integral they are to sounding natural in English. Understanding even some of these makes a huge difference.
It absolutely does. And again, the transcript this deep dive is based on provides that comprehensive list as a reference point.
So wrapping this up, that was a really dense exploration based on just one source transcript from J. Forrest English. Covered a lot of ground.
From core vocabulary and advanced grammar for descriptions, through practical skills like negotiation and expressing opinions, to the connecting power of transition words and the sheer volume of idioms.
It really shows how much you can extract and learn from a focused analysis like this. It's a shortcut to getting well-informed on these specific aspects of English.
Definitely. And hopefully listeners can take these insights, whether it's a new word, a negotiation phrase, a way to structure an opinion, or an idiom they didn't know, and start applying them.
So maybe a final thought for our listeners to ponder. Reflecting on all this, what's one specific communication challenge you face, maybe in English or even your native language, that one of these techniques, like using transition words more clearly or adopting a different phrase for opinions, might help you overcome?
That's a great question. Thinking about practical application, how can you take one small piece from this deep dive and integrate it into how you communicate tomorrow?
Exactly. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into English language and communication strategies.
Thanks for listening. We hope you found it valuable. Keep practicing.
We'll be back with another deep dive soon.
Like and subscribe.